Good evening, everybody. You may be seated. Thank you. Well, it's lovely to see such a sea of new faces and old faces, and really pleased. This is the annual council meeting, the 22nd of May 2024. So, can I ask members, when speaking directly into their microphone, this will enable members and members of the public to hear you, and it is also good for the recordings as well. Can I remind members and members of the public to place their mobile phones to silent and to stand where possible when speaking? Can I remind members to remain seated at the end of the meeting until the Mayor has risen to conclude the meeting? Can I also remind those members who wish to speak this evening to keep their hands up until they're acknowledged by the Chief Exec? To remind members, the meeting is being live streamed and we will welcome the members of the public welcome the members in the public gallery as well. Watching and listening to the council meeting tonight, I would like to remember all members of the council's adopted code of conduct for councillors, which you agreed to and are expected to adhere to. I would like us all to take a moment and remember Thurrock's fallen of World War II on page 7 of your agendas. Stone, Thomas E. Aldridge, Geoffrey. Lilly, Donald A. Thompson, Edward N. Rickson, Norman D. Hill, George R. Chapman, Frederick C. Fittock, Frank D. Hollingdale, James. Stickings, Harold A.J. Morgan, Horace C. White, Neil. Bateman, George S. Hayward, Donald. Springer, F.J. Before we begin this meeting, I would like to ask Reverend Canon Darren Barlow to lead us in prayer. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we reflect upon this past municipal year, we give you thanks for the service given by the Mayor Councillor Sue Little, the Deputy Mayor Councillor Quasar Abbas, and their consorts who have supported them throughout the year. We pray that the insights that they have discerned during their time in office may inspire them in their continued service within the community, and that enjoyable memories may stay with them throughout their lives. We pray for the new Mayor and Deputy Mayor and their consorts who will be elected this evening. We pray that the responsibilities of office may not daunt them, but give them new opportunities to serve in representing Thurrock within the community and beyond, and hearing the concerns of the community, bringing them to the attention of members and officers. We pray for all councillors, especially those recently elected to office, as they serve representing the electorate in each ward. We pray for the new leader of the council to be elected to office, John Kent, and those who lead the opposition parties. We also pray for those to be elected or appointed to committees this evening. Give them all the discernment and dedication they need. We also remember and hold in our prayers our MPs, Jackie Doyle-Price and Stephen Metcalfe. We pray for all the staff who are employed by Thurrock Council in whatever capacity, from the most senior to the most junior, that they may have respect for them as they work for the betterment of Thurrock. We thank you for all the contacts that our council has within industry, business, commerce and education, those who provide services in our borough throughout our lives, and those who come to our aid in times of emergency. Help us never to take them for granted. Finally, we pray for the residents of Thurrock. Help everyone to take responsibility for the betterment of their communities, remembering to put the needs of others first before their own. So bless us and all within Thurrock this night and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, Darren. In recent weeks, I've heard about Thurrock's plans to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day next month in preparation for the borough's expedition. I was invited to help judge the artwork submitted for an art competition aimed at young people aged 5 to 17 to commemorate D-Day. The brief was to reflect on the real-life stories from Thurrock veterans. We received over 160 entries, and I was so impressed by the quality, which really demonstrated a connection between the loss and the sacrifices of D-Day with today's young people in Thurrock. I enjoyed my role as judge alongside others and encourage you to take a look at them at the Taster exhibition in CO3 ahead of the main Thurrock exhibition from the 23rd of May. It was really difficult to judge because they were absolutely super. Apologies for absence. I've received one apology for absence from Councillor Sue Salmons. Are there any other further apologies?
Madam Mayor, Councillor Panjala is running a little late, but will be here.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. Councillor Jeffries? No, thank you. I now, as item 2, move the minutes of the meeting of the Council held on the 20th of March 2024 as founded on pages 11 to 22 of the agenda to be approved as a correct record. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Kent. Is any member in disagreement with the accuracy of these minutes? No? Thank you. The minutes are approved, or subject to those amendments, the minutes are still approved. To elect the mayor for the municipal year. May I have a nomination for the election of mayor for the municipal year, please? Councillor Kent.
Madam Mayor, I have great pleasure in moving Councillor Karen Raper.
Thank you, Councillor Kent. Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In keeping with tradition, I'm happy to nominate Councillor Abbas for Mayor.
Other councillors? No. May I have a seconder for the... Councillor Worrell, thank you. Councillor George Cockshaw, thank you. Are there any further nominations? Are all members, then, we do need to take a vote on who's going to be mayor. So if you would like to raise your hands for those who would wish to vote for Councillor Rapier. And if you could keep them up for just a little longer. Yes, thank you. All those in favour of Councillor Abbas? Thank you. Democrats? Councillor Rapier. Yes, Councillor Rapier is voted in and due diligence for being Mayor of Thurrock for the forthcoming year. Congratulations. When do I get to say my speech? Before I go any further, I had missed a bit. I don't know what's become of me tonight. I seem to be stumbling over everything. But I had wanted to read a small piece about what I have been doing as your mayor this year. And it's it's probably why I'm stumbling a bit, because I feel quite emotional, because it's been such an honour to have served as Mayor of the Borough, and I will shed a few tears, as I have loved it so much, genuinely. I'm pleased to say I have raised just shy of 30,000 this year for my charities, and I have done about 280 events. I've tried, but I could never beat Yash Gupta or James on that front, but I did try. But I have had the pleasure of demolitioning the old oil container by giving it a nudge with one of the UK's largest demolition vehicles, as the council said no to me blowing it up. I have had an article printed about me in German, in a German magazine. I fired a cannon over the Thames, and I was presented with a metre-square oil painting of myself, which I was going to leave to have it displayed in the council, just to remind you of who I was. Thank you so much to my Deputy Mayor, Kaiser, and to the 3 group leaders who have kept me on a relatively wonky but straightish road at the council meetings, and the officers and the support team, and my husband Brian, known as the Chief Caterer and Handbag Carrier, and also, again, thank you, Darren, for all your services. And finally, I wish the new Mayor every success for her coming year, which I'm sure will be just as amazing as the one I have had. So, best of wishes. I'm now up to there. Do I not do the deputy bit? Sorry, I've just missed the plot tonight. Right, now we get over to the nice bit. Councillor Rapier, would you like to come forward, please, as you are now the duly elected Mayor of Thurrock? It is a long walk, isn't it? Especially if you've got dodgy knees like us. Yeah, exactly. So, if you would like to sign the book, Dave will come round and sign the book with you. Oh, yeah. Do I have to? Thank you. Are you sure about this? I'm going to. Yeah. Just need to get my speech. I forget what I want to say. There's also enormous print so that I can read it.
I'd like to start by thanking everyone, all the members, for giving me this opportunity to be Mayor of Thurrock. It's a fantastic honour, and I'm humbled by having the opportunity to represent Thurrock as Mayor. I'd also like to thank Councillor Sue Little for all her hard work during her year as Mayor. She continued to recognise the many exceptional residents of Thurrock with the mayoral roll of honour, first introduced by Councillor Haldon. And this is something that I want to continue. I've lived in Thurrock all my life. I was born in Tilbury, attended school there, and had my first teaching post there. I was delighted to be elected councillor for Tilbury St Chad's ward, somewhere that I continue to support in my council work. My children went to school here. My son is now a paediatrics neurology consultant, and my daughter is a senior planning officer. Not for Thurrock Council, I have to add. So that's a good advert for education in Thurrock. I was a maths teacher, maths advisor, education inspector, and lecturer on a mathematics master's degree course. I'm now retired, but remain committed to improving the lives of children and young people in Thurrock. I intend to name the Thurrock Food Bank as one of my mayoral charities. It's dreadful that in our country there is a need for food banks, but that need exists, and Thurrock Food Bank does a fantastic job across all of Thurrock. As I now begin my year as Mayor, I promise to work for the benefit of all our residents and will endeavour to show people just how good Thurrock is. I'm also particularly proud to say we now have a Tilbury girl as Mayor. So thank you. I'd like now to start the presentations of the evening. Could I ask Sue Little to come forward and receive her past Mayor's badges, please? Could I ask Brian Little to come forward and receive his past Mayor's Consort badge, please? Would any member like to speak? Councillor Kent.
If I can start, Madam Mayor, by congratulating you on being elected as the first citizen of Thurrock for the year ahead. Those of us who know you know that you're deeply proud of your Thurrock roots. As you've said, you've taught in schools across Thurrock, you've brought your family up here, and we know that you will be a tremendous ambassador for the council when you're out in the community, and a tremendous advocate for Thurrock when you're out beyond the borough boundaries. Good luck with your year, and the bit of advice that I always try to give is just try to relax and enjoy it. The year will go by before you've noticed. And I just want to say a genuine warm thank you to Sue Little. Sue, when you spoke, you said that you'd been presented with a metre square portrait which you considered leaving to remind us of you. I have to say that we don't need a metre square portrait to remind us of Sue Little. I don't think any of us will be forgetting you anytime soon. People within this chamber generally see you chairing our council meetings, and I think it's fair to say that that has been challenging over the last year. There are some challenging members in the chamber, and we've had some interesting exchanges. I think they've all ended relatively with good humour, and you've managed to get us through them, and thank you for that. But that's only a tiny part of the role of the mayor, and I've been privileged to see you do many things. One of the things you've been very, very keen to do is to bring as many schools and school children into this building and into the chamber as you can. And I remember that one of the first schools that you brought in was the Belmont Castle Academy. And so I kind of remember you telling me that you took the kids on a tour of the chamber and a tour of the building, and you took them into the parlour and you showed them the various artefacts, and then you asked if there are any questions. And one little darling put their hand up and said, I've got a question. What's your question? And the question was, how old are you? Now, I know the answer, but I'm too gallant to give the answer. But Sue answered, so the little tyke came back and said, well, why aren't you dead then? I have to say, so it got better from there on. And I've also seen it firsthand when you've visited various charities and enterprises across the borough. And I've seen the kind of genuine interest that you've shown, the kindness that you've shown, and the generosity of spirit. And I think that's summed up by you, and by Brian as well, by the fact that on a number of occasions you've visited in the chains and gone back sometime later without the chains to make a private donation, to genuinely thank and honour those people that do such good work out in our community. I don't think many people have seen that. I've seen it, and I want to thank you for it. And finally, you're going to be very big shoes to fill, so it's time to sit back, put your feet up, have a rest, and look back with genuine pride on a job well done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Morris-Cook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And first of all, obviously, congratulations. And I'm sure you'll do an amazing job. And as you say, it's a great honour. And I'm really pleased for you. I'd like to pay tribute to Sue. And we'll never agree on our politics, Sue, but we don't ever discuss that, do we? Which is really good, and I think that's how our relationship works. However, a kinder, more sincere person you won't find. I'd like to thank her for everything that she has done and continues to do for one of Thurrock's previous mayors, Margaret Jones. I'm sorry, but the work that Sue has done for Margaret has been extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary, continues to do. And if Margaret was able, she would say just how much you mean to her. And I can't believe just how much you've done. It's been extraordinary. What I will say, though, is now there's not a Councillor Little in Alsett, Baldwin and Horndon. I do think it's their loss. Councillor Kent talked about huge shoes to fill, and that doesn't mean you've got big feet, so. What I do think is, I think the councillors there will struggle to come even close. And I'd just like to say, thank you.
Councillor Jeffries, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to echo the congratulations to you, and I wish you good luck. And as Councillor Kent said, please try and enjoy it, enjoy your year as Mayor. I'd just like to say a few words to Sue, because obviously I became leader as Sue became Mayor. I'll become not leader as Sue not becomes Mayor. So a little bit of a well done, Sue, on raising the 30k that you did. I think that's a tremendous effort. I know that you've also been around communities providing defibrillators, and I know they will help communities as and when they're needed. The first visit I went on with Sue was to DP World, and that's when I first got to be introduced to the handbag carrier, as Sue described Brian as he got into the car. And he was the handbag carrier. He carried the handbag around the whole visit, so yes, he was. Mentioned earlier about the visits to the chamber by children. I know they really enjoyed themselves, and they could ask any question, as they often did. And I think the children enjoyed the jazz hands that you told them to do, but as adults didn't get away with not joining in doing jazz hands as well. So I think there's a good catalogue of photographs of people doing jazz hands. the role of honour that you continue to do, I thought was, fully support that, and I was able to nominate my local pharmacy for the work that they did during COVID, and I know they really appreciated the time that you spent with them, finding out what they did and congratulating them on. I'm sorry, you did ask to blow something up, I know you did, and I'm sorry we didn't quite get to be able to do that. But just to echo what other people have said, thank you, Sue, thank you for everything that you did, and it is now time to rest up, put your feet up for a little while and take a break.
Councillor Coxall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies, technical difficulties, it seems. I just want to put on record, really, my congratulations to you as becoming Thurrock's first citizen. It is an honour of a lifetime, and I've watched a number of mayors and been quite fortunate to join them at a number of events, seeing the other chain gang that you will now be a part of, and how much they love and appreciate being able to showcase their communities. So, all other councillors say, make sure you do enjoy yourself. There is a little bit of pleasure on the side for work. But the biggest thing I can really say, just moving on really to the shoes that you're filling from for Sue as mayor. I've grown up remembering Sue. Sue probably used to babysit me while in the back of function halls and come running over. And, oh, you must be here, George. You must be at the front. No all-sit show could ever really be the same without a photo of me and you every year. And I do hope you will continue to be attending. It will not be an all-sit show without you. But the legacy you left behind is large. The chamber will be very different without you. But as others say, I know we keep telling you to rest, but I do not believe for 1 minute that you will be. I still hope to get calls and texts from you saying there is something going on here, you must go and make sure, put this in. And I really hope they do continue, because it's one of the things, no matter what you do, even quietly aside from it, you've always put your civic life and your civic duty above everything else. And really to Brian as well, thank you for all the work that you've done over the last year supporting Sue. It's one of those things, you are the hidden person often enough behind everyone else, still as the bag carrier, but you've also been very graciously the wine giver, and you've been making sure the parlour has been fully stocked to make sure that us councillors are actually entertained at the end. And you've done that service very diligently. So I would like just to put on record wishing you both the very best, and I do hope this isn't the last that we've seen of you both. Thank you.
Councillor Worrell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. From one Tilbury girl to another Tilbury girl, I wish you the best year as the Mayor. I'd like to say that it's a fitting tribute that Sue was Mayor in her last year as a councillor. I think that you've done us proud as the Mayor. £30,000 is an enormous amount of money to be raising, but I don't think that it's just because you was the Mayor that you was a kind woman this year. I think it's because you are just a kind woman, Sue. And as councillor, when you was the portfolio holder for looked after children, I know that the work that you did behind the scenes, making sure that every looked after child was made to feel special and had something at Christmas and had what they needed. You was absolutely phenomenal as a portfolio holder, and that in the same way that the Mayor was very fitting for you, that portfolio was fitting for you. And I remember one night I bumped into you at Lakeside, and I was finding clothes for a young homeless lad that I'd found sleeping behind the church, and you insisted on paying half of the bill that I was paying for buying him clothes, and she literally chased me round Lakeside to shove money in my hand to make sure that she could do that for a homeless person. And I don't think that after tonight your generosity will just stop, because it's just what you do, Sue. And I'm sure you've had an amazing time in here. I probably won't get told off quite as many times this year, but yeah, but please, enjoy your dinner parties, enjoy going out, enjoy your holidays, enjoy your rest. but I'm sure that Allsit will still see quite a lot of you. So well done, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Item 4, items of urgent business. Oh, sorry. Who wishes to speak? Sorry, Councillor Spate.
A bit like déjà vu. Firstly, congratulations on your appointment. It's great. Tilbury's a place close to my heart, and it's great to see our first citizen coming from Tilbury, which is an honour for the town, and I'm really pleased. And I was going to suggest something, but I think Sue will be quite grateful. I was going to ask her to lead her in a rousing chorus of Oggy, 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 which was one of the highlights of my year when she led the district scouts in that chant. She would be a tremendous exponent of that. But I'm going to take what might be a slightly off-tangent start to my words this evening by referencing the Mayor's consort and singling Brian Little out for tribute, which I'm sure Sue will understand. During the civic year, I've attended a number of events which Sue has attended, both within this building and further afield across the borough. At all of them, Brian has been a constant presence, not just in supporting Sue, but in presenting the civic face of the borough exactly as it should be, with dignity, grace, style, and above all else, interest in our residents. The role of consort is often undersung, and I would like to correct that at the end of Sue's civic year by saying that Brian has been the rock upon which she's been able to rely for the last 12 months, and no doubt much longer than that, given the harmonious and clearly loving relationship that they have. And so to Sue, I've no doubt, given the many verbal encounters that she and I have had in this chamber over the past 12 months, some people might wonder what I might say about her. Well, clearly, we've had our differences, but not once have they spilled out beyond this chamber, which is a tremendous credit to Sue. She didn't take it personally. And even inside it, we have usually come to some accord, and it's fair to say that she won most of the verbal squabbles, which is as it should be. I apologise here and now if I have annoyed or discomforted her during those exchanges, but that's politics, and I think both she and I know it's a bit of the game. I will be honest and say that at times I struggled in this chamber, but then again, who wouldn't when you consider some of the things that have happened in here? In the round, we probably set a pretty low bar, and I hope that we can do better for Councillor Raper. At times, this chamber has resembled a carry-on film set. I've looked around and seen assorted councillors mimic in real life the comedic escapades which are not really so funny when they involve important topics. Aficionados of that other British vintage comedy, Our House. A forerunner for the carry-ons could probably find dead ringers for a bemused Bernard Bresslaw or an impish Charles Hawtrey, all in our own house, this town hall. Sue had to cope with all that, and she did the very best that she could. She could do no more. But it is outside this chamber where she has shone. Let there be no mistake about the generosity of spirit, kindness, and love that Sue has, and that she has displayed those qualities, often without recognition, in bucket loads. I've had the dubious distinction of working with and alongside 19 mayors in the more than 2 decades I've worked as a journalist in Thurrock. All have had their unique characteristics, though some I can barely remember. I can assure Sue, with or without that huge thing, she will never be forgotten.
I'd just like to apologise once again, Councillor Spate, that we missed you. And can I take this as an opportunity to remind everyone, when you put your hand up, can you sort of just make sure we've spotted you? Because that was rather disappointing that I missed you. On to item 4, items of urgent business. I've not agreed to any urgent items of business this evening. Item 5, to elect the Deputy Mayor for the municipal year of 2024 to 25. May I have a nomination for the election of Deputy Mayor for the next municipal year? Councillor Kent.
Madam Mayor, I have pleasure to nominate Councillor Sue Shinnick.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Oh, sorry, I need a seconder. Thank you. If, are all members in agreement that Councillor Shinnock be appointed as Deputy Mayor for 2024 to 25? Thank you. I declare that Councillor Shinnock duly appointed as Deputy Mayor of Thurrock for the next municipal year. Would Councillor Shinnock please come forward to sign the Book of Acceptance? Deputy Mayor, do you wish to say a few words? Thank you.
Evening, members of the Chamber. I'm deeply honoured and grateful for your confidence you have shown in me being elected as Deputy Mayor. Your support and trust is truly humbling, and I am committed to serving our community with dedication and integrity. I would also like to extend my thanks to my predecessor for her service as Madam Mayor, and look forward to making Thurrock a better place to live and stay. Thank you once again for this incredible opportunity. Thank you.
And I'm now just going to announce my consort. He doesn't need to come up, but it's Councillor Steve Lydiard. So. Item 6, declarations of interest. May I have any declarations of interest, please? No? Thank you. Item 7, to elect the leader of the council for a 4-year term of office. May I have a nomination for the election of leader of the council?
I'd like to nominate Councillor John Kent.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Oh, thank you. Are there any further nominations? Are all members in agreement that Councillor John Kent be appointed as leader of the council? Agreed. Thank you. I declare Councillor John Kent duly elected as leader of the council. I'm pleased to invite Councillor John Kent, duly elected, to make a speech as leader.
Madam Mayor, thank you, and thank you to the Chamber for putting your trust and confidence in me for the year ahead. It's an honour, and it's something that I accept with a great deal of pride. Can I also start by thanking both Councillor Jeffries and Councillor Deborah Arnold for their service over the past year, for Councillor Jeffries, and more than that for Deborah. It's been an arduous time, it's been a difficult time, and I don't think anybody would ever question your commitment and your work rate. And I just want to put on record my thanks to both of you for everything that you've done. I also want to say a word of welcome to new members and to those not so new members. So welcome back Roy Jones, welcome back David Day, Victoria Holloway, Cliff Holloway and Mike Fletcher. And can I give a very warm welcome for the first time to Kathy Sisterson, Ngozi Alike, Linda Heath, John Fox, Ryan Polston, Gary Watson and Ross Byrne. Congratulations, genuine congratulations to each and every one of you, and to those others who were re-elected 3 weeks ago. And thank you, every one of you, for coming forward to serve the community of Thurrock. Now, the role of a local councillor is often misunderstood, it's frequently frustrating, it's regularly infuriating, but at times it can be deeply rewarding too. Ultimately, we're all here to represent our communities, to offer help and advice to our residents, and to make tough decisions about the future shape of public services that will almost inevitably be unpopular in at least some quarters. But I'm old-fashioned enough to believe that all of us here tonight are driven by a desire to make a positive difference in our communities and by a deep sense of service. And we must, none of us, forget that we are here to serve. Indeed, we are elected to serve our communities. And if I could offer just a couple of pieces of advice to all of our newly elected colleagues. One is, don't become obsessed with social media. Don't read below the line when you see your name on a story. And the second is, keep your warm hearts and grow a thick skin. Madam Mayor, we need to be very clear that Thurrock Council, although on an improvement journey, is a failing council. We're a council in the grip of government intervention, and what we do is being overseen by commissioners. We're a council that is functionally bankrupt. The council's debt remains at over £400 million. To set the current year's budget, we needed a capitalisation direction of over £60 million. And we need to find revenue savings of at least £60 million. But I have to remind everybody that as the Best Value Inspection report makes clear, our financial difficulties are a consequence of the dysfunctionality of the council and not the cause of the dysfunctionality. That means that we have to change the culture of this council from top to bottom. If we don't do that, then we stand little chance of getting back to being a sustainable local authority. And we have to start by being fully open, transparent and honest. And all of us that were out campaigning at those local elections heard on the doorsteps that prevailing easy narrative that councillors are all the same, or nothing will ever change whoever's in charge, or they're all useless. And we have to change that perception. And that means that it can't be business as usual as we set out our plans to give Thurrock the fresh start that Thurrock needs and the fresh start that people voted for. It's up to us, every one of us here, to debunk the doubters and to show real commitment to restoring people's faith and re-establish links with our local communities. And given where we are, it will take time and it won't be easy. But I'm determined that we will be different and we will be better. We'll put Thurrock and our communities first at every stage. We'll take responsibility for the decisions we make, and we will say what we mean and mean what we say. Our watchwords will be honesty. There will be no more behind doors deals. We'll be prudent, crack down on waste, and be laser focused on delivering for residents of Thurrock. Openness. We will establish meaningful scrutiny and genuine consultation processes. And as far as I'm concerned, that will start tonight, as portfolio holders will play no part in the election of scrutiny chairs and vice chairs. And Madam Mayor, with your permission, we will leave the chamber as those votes are taken this evening. And fairness. We will enshrine fairness into every council process to ensure equal treatment for all of our residents. And respect. We must never forget who we are elected to serve. We will treat everyone with respect. We'll be responsive and provide practical help and advice on issues and concerns that are raised with us, either as individuals or through the organisation. Madam Mayor, we all know that we have a long, long way to go, that there will be tough times ahead, but we are determined to be better, to do the right thing for Thurrock, to be the fresh start that we need, and to earn back the trust of those who we are elected to serve. Thank you.
Item 8, announcements on behalf of the Mayor and the Leader of the Council. This evening I have no announcements, so can I ask the Leader to make any further announcements you may wish to do?
Madam Mayor, I just wish to formally announce Cabinet portfolios and portfolio holders. So my portfolio will be Strategic Relationships, Reputation and Influence. Deputy Leader of the Council, Councillor Worrell, will take responsibility for overall change and improvement agenda of the Council. Councillor Maldoni will be the portfolio holder for resources, overseeing financial infrastructure and human resources. Councillor Mark Hooper will be the portfolio holder for health and well-being. Councillor Valerie Morris-Cook will be the portfolio holder for community partnerships. Councillor Lee Watson will be the portfolio holder for good growth. Councillor Victoria Holloway will be the portfolio holder for place and the environment. And Councillor Vicky Hartstein will be the portfolio holder for children's services. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9, committee structures for 2024 to 25. The report can be found on pages 23 to 32 of the agenda. And can I please ask the Leader to introduce and move the report? You've got 5 minutes.
Madam Mayor, you'll be pleased to know I won't take 5 minutes. I think we've all had the opportunity to consider the new committee structure in the past, so I will merely move recommendations 1.1 to 1.5 found on pages 23 and 24.
Thank you. I'll now move to the report recommendations. Are we asking people to show on each one? Yeah. Okay. Recommendation 1.1, that the new Overview and Scrutiny Committee structure listed in paragraph 3.2 of the report be established for the 24 to 25 municipal year following the prior agreement at full council in March 2024. Are members in favour? Are those against? Are there any abstentions? Thank you. I'll move on to 1.2, that the committees listed in paragraphs 3.5 of the report be established for the 24 to 25 municipal year. Are members in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. 1.3, that 1, the Standards Committee, and 2, the Audit Committee, are established alongside their new terms of reference attached at Appendix 1. Are members in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. 1.4, that the Lower Thames Crossing Task Force remains as a group until such time the Place, Overview and Scrutiny Committee decide how to establish suitable oversight of the issue within its remit. Are members in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. 1.5, that the monitoring officer make the necessary amendments to the Constitution to incorporate the changes to the committee structure as approved by Council. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay, item 10, allocation of committee seats and appointments. The nominations to committee seats can be found on pages 4 to 9 in the booklet tabled in front of you. The nominations for chairs and vice chairs of committees can be found on pages 10 to 11 in this tabled booklet. I propose to ask the leader to move this report and proceed to the voting. If any other member wishes to comment on the nominations before we proceed, I will give them the opportunity to do so. Would the leader please introduce and move the report? This report can be found on pages 33 to 42 of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, happy to move the report, but just to point out that on page 37E, we see that overview and scrutiny committees will consist of 10 members. Because of the way that seats are allocated and roundings in negotiation between groups, I think we've come to an agreement that those overview and scrutiny committees will in fact consist of 11 members. But with that, I will move, and as I've said before, we will withdraw when we get to voting on overview and scrutiny chairs and vice chairs.
Thank you. Would any member like to speak on this report before we proceed to voting? Councillor Spate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had a long speech in my mind to make about this decision, but I will just say one thing, that I personally, I don't know about colleagues, will be voting against the decision to increase the size of the scrutiny committees to 11. The reason being, we've all just voted unanimously for what we agreed to do last year, and today that's changed. The move was made at the last minute, in haste and without real purpose. It may be a compromise, but for reasons that I do not understand. However, it is what it is, and I'm sure it will go through. And I wish all members who serve on committees a really enjoyable year. You can, and I'm sure you will, and you certainly have the opportunity to make a real difference in carrying us on this improvement journey. But I will be voting against it.
Thank you. Group leaders have agreed to increase the seats on overview and scrutiny committees from 10 to 11 seats. This will leave each committee with 6 Labour, 3 Conservative and 2 non-political alliance of independent councillors seats. I think this is to do with round-up error. That's my own personal view. Do members agree to the increases of the seats on the 3 overview and scrutiny committees? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Oh, I don't know. Thank you. Keep your hands up. Yeah, thank you. Those against? And any abstentions? Thank you. I will now proceed to the contested nominations on committees. Planning Committee, there is 1 contested seat on Planning Committee. I will ask for a vote on the Chamber's preferred candidate. Those in favour of Councillor P. Arnold, please raise your hand. Those in favour of Councillor Jones, please raise your hands. Okay. Thank you. Do we have any abstentions? Thank you. I now declare that Councillor P. Arnold as a member of the Planning Committee. The political balance calculations present 2 of the unclaimed seats for the unaligned member I ask Councillor Anderson now if he wishes to nominate himself for 2 of the unclaimed seats. The seats available are Licensing Committee, Corporate Parenting, Audit Committee. Sorry. Oh, that's it. Thank.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'll nominate myself for licensing and audit, please.
Are members in agreement with the nominations made? Now that nominations to committees have been made, we will now move on to the contested seats of chair and vice chair nominations. Before I move on to the voting, does any group leader wish to speak at this point? I believe at this point, Councillor Kent would like the Cabinet members to leave. Thank you. In accordance with Council Procedures Rule 20.9, we will take a vote on these contested nominations. When asked to do so, please raise your hand. Firstly, the contested chair nominations for Place, Overview and Scrutiny Committee. All in favour of Councillor G. Byrne? All in favour of Councillor Kelly? I declare that Councillor Byrne as chair. People Overview and Scrutiny Committee, we're now looking at all those in favour of Councillor Spate. Can we not have comments, please? Thanks. And all in favour of Councillor Johnson? I declare Councillor Spate chair. Move on to Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committees. All those in favour of Councillor B. Maney, please show. All those in favour of Councillor Jones, please show. Yep. I declare Councillor B. Maney as chair. Licensing Committee. Sorry, we won't keep you waiting long. Sorry, the delay was that we don't want to do licensing and then have to call the Cabinet back in and then ask them to leave again. So we're going on to the Vice Chairs of Overview and Scrutiny Committees. Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, moving further on from what the Leader of the Council said earlier about wanting openness, transparency and a new beginning, in light of the fact of some sort of electoral pact between the Labour Party and the sister party of the Independents, along with the fact that they've just elected one member that was found guilty of breaking the Code of Conduct and another member by his own fruition had said that he'd not been the most polite councillor in full council.
I don't think this is the place to be discussing that. Thank you.
I'm not discussing it, Madam Mayor. I'm just saying, I'm giving you the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. In light of such blatant electoral pact, we are withdrawing all our nominations for vice chairs.
Could I ask clarification for everyone, please? Are you talking about the contested posts or the one where we have someone who's, it's an uncontested post?
All ONS vice chairs.
Thank you. That now means we have no contested places for vice chair. However, it also means that the overview and scrutiny of place has no nominations. So we will have to move that over to the next full council meeting. Thank you. I'll just get someone to bring the cabinet back. Councillor Spate.
Could I ask if it would be possible to nominate now to save dragging it over and then we can get these committees on the road?
Can you let me take some advice on that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, that would be acceptable. We'd still need a proposer and a seconder. So who did you have in mind? Councillor Spate?
I will nominate Councillor Allen.
Can we have a seconder? Yeah, got that. Just taking some advice.
Madam Mayor, I think I may have made a faux pas. I don't think he's on the committee.
Yeah.
Apologise.
That's okay. So
We'll draw the nomination and leave it to the next time.
okay, thank you. bring the Cabinet back. Thank you. Have we had all of your Cabinet back, Councillor Kent? Yes. Thank you. We're now going to move to the Licensing Committee. As there are 3 nominations, we will vote as follows. The nominations will be, the nominee with the lowest number of votes will fall. A further vote will be taken and the remaining 2 nominations and the nomination with the most votes will be chair. So, all in favour of Councillor Jones, please show. Yep. Thank you. All in favour of Councillor Green, please show. Thank you. And all in favour of Councillor Abbas, please show. Councillor Jones is removed. We'll now go to the vote again between Councillors Green and Abbas. All those in favour of Councillor Green, please show. Thank you. And all those in favour of Councillor Abbas. I declare that Councillor Green is chair. I'll now move on to the contest. Oh, I've done that, sorry. We moved licensing while you were out, Cabinet, so that we didn't have to call you back and then send you out again. Thank you. Due to the result from the previous one, Councillor Jones, you're back into the election for a vice chair. We have 3 nominations, so again, we'll do what we did before. The person with the lowest number of votes will be removed, and then we'll go to vote on the other 2. So I'll ask you to show. All those in favour of Councillor Jones, please show. All those in favour of Councillor P. Arnold, please show. I've missed Councillor Fish. Okay, and all those in favour of Councillor Fish, please show. Councillor Jones drops out this time, and we'll take a vote between the other two. So, can I start by asking, can those in favour of Councillor Fish please show? Thank you. And those in favour of Councillor P. Arnold, please show. So, Councillor Fish, yeah. I declare Councillor Fish is the Vice Chair of Licensing. Thank you. As the chair isn't contested, we're going straight to the vice chair of the Standards Committee. We have two nominations, and I'll ask you to show your support. All those in favour of Councillor Allen, please show. Thank you. All those in favour of Councillor Johnson, please show. I declare Councillor Johnson as Vice Chair. Oh, what's this one? We're now moving to Audit Committee, but this is for the Vice Chair. We've got two councillors. So those in favour of Councillor Panjala, please show. Those in favour of Councillor Haldon, please show. I declare Councillor Panjala as Vice Chair. Sorry, shall I just answer? Are members in agreement with the uncontested nominations, Chair and Vice Chair, as detailed in the tabled booklet? Should I say, is anyone opposed? Do I need to ask them, is anyone opposed? No. I'll now move to the report recommendations. Recommendation 1.1, that the allocation of seats as set out in Appendix 1 be approved subject to the increase in ONS seats. Are members in favour? Please show. Those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. 1.2, that the nominations of the political groups to seats on committees be approved as set out in Appendix 2. Are members in favour? Is anyone against? Are there any abstentions? 1.3, that the non-voting co-opted members of the Planning Committee, the Standards Committee, the Audit Committee, the People Overview and Scrutiny Committee, the Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and the Corporate Parenting Committee be appointed as set out in Appendix 2. Are members in favour? Against? Any abstentions? 1.4, that the chairs and vice chairs of the committees be approved as set out in Appendix 3. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Fine. Right, can move. Item 11, appointments of outside bodies, statutory and other panels. Councillor Spate, is that a point of order?
Well, it was just to speed up proceedings. We would be happy to withdraw our 3 nominations that are there, which will speed up the voting process.
Oh, thank you. Just take a moment now. Thank you, Councillor Spate. As a result of Councillor Spate's decision there, we only have 1 contested seat, and that's for the Essex Police, Fire and Crime panel. We have 2 nominations, so I will ask you to vote on that. Those in favour of Councillor V. Holloway, please show. And all in favour of Councillor Haldon, please show. So I go straight. Yeah, that's just the same as this. Yeah. I declare Councillor Holloway, Councillor V. Holloway, as the outside body representative. Councillor Kent.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, it's entirely our fault, but there is an error in the booklet. The Local Government Association General Assembly, which I think is now pretty academic anyway, our nominations should be myself and Councillor Worrell. Thank you.
As it's not a contested seat, we'll accept the changes. Thank you. Are members in agreement with the uncontested nominations to outside bodies, statutory and other panels as detailed in the tabled booklet? I'll now move to the recommendation. 1, that the nominations of outside bodies, statutory and other panels be approved. Do you agree? Can you show if you agree? Any opposed? Any abstention? No. Thank you. We're now on to item 12, schedule of meetings. The report can be found on pages 47 to 62 of the agenda. Would the leader please introduce and move the report? You've got 5 minutes, Councillor Kent.
Madam Mayor, happy to move the report. Can I just ask that we look again and come back next time with an alternative date for the September council meeting, as it clashes with Labour Party conference? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get that noted. Can we move to the recommendations? Do people agree with that? I'll now move to the recommendations. 1.1, that the calendar of meetings for 2024 to 25 be approved, with reference to the request for a change for one of the meetings, for the September meeting. Is that approved? Do members agree? Is anyone against? Does anyone abstain? And that members note that there may be a need to convene additional meetings of committees as and when to comply with government directions and improvement activities. Are members in favour of this? Anyone against? Is anyone abstaining? Thank you. Item 13, Independent Remuneration Panel Report. The report could be found on pages 63 to 78 of the agenda. Would the leader please introduce the report? Again, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Independent Remuneration Panel has been convened as a result of the changes that we've made to the committee system, and the report is there for our consideration. I'll be happy to move all the recommendations of the Independent Remuneration Panel, that is 1.1 to 1.9. 1.10, the requirement for the opposition group to go below 1/3. I would ask that that goes back to the Independent Remuneration Committee for consideration. I'm not comfortable changing the process. We either have a process that we stick to or we don't. So we're happy to support 1.1 to 1.9, but not 1.10.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffries, do you wish to speak? Thank you. Councillor Spate, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Would any member like to speak on this report? Thank you. Would the leader like to sum up?
No, Madam Mayor, if we could move to the vote.
Thank you. I'll move to the report recommendations. 1.1, Special Responsibility Allowance for the 3 new Overview and Scrutiny chairs be increased to 100% of the basic allowance to be £9,595 per annum, with effect from May 2024. Do those agreed? Anyone object? Anyone abstain? 1.2, the SRA for the 3 new Overview and Scrutiny Vice Chairs be increased to 25% of the basic allowance to be £2,399 per annum, with effect from May 2024. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Anyone abstain? 1.3, that the SRA for the new Audit Committee Chair be introduced at 75% of the basic allowance to be £7,196 per annum, with effect from May 2024. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Anyone abstain? 1.4, that the SRA of the new Audit Committee Vice Chair be introduced to 15% of the basic allowance to be £1,440 per annum with effect from May 2024. Those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? 1.5, the SRA for the new Standards Committee Chair be introduced at 50% of the basic allowance to be £4,798 per annum with effect from May 2024. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? 1.6, that the SRA for the new Standards Committee Vice Chair be introduced at 10% of the basic allowance to the £960 per annum with effect from May 2024. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? 1.7, co-opted members sitting on both Standards Committee and Audit Committee receive an increased allowance of 20% of the basic allowance, £1,919 per annum, with effect from May 2024 to reflect their increased attendance at more meetings per year. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? 1.8, the monitor officer will be delegated authority to make the necessary changes to the members' scheme of allowances to reflect the decisions made by council. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? 1.9, the panel reconvene no later than February 2025 to re-evaluate the roles and recommendations using an evidence base created from the implementation of the roles. Are members in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? The Council to consider the following recommendations outside of the recommendations of the RIP. 1.10, the requirement for the main opposition group to have a minimum of 17 members in order to qualify the deputy leader of the main opposition group to receive an SRA be removed as qualification in section 3.3. I think we'll need to have a show of hands for this one. Are members in favour? So he wants to speak. Can he speak now? Yeah, Councillor Spate, point of order.
Well, Councillor Kent proposed that this went back to the board, so I don't see how you can have a straightforward vote. That was what Councillor Kent proposed.
That's what he proposed, but the council may decide to go with the recommendation. So I think we still have to have a vote, don't we?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have to vote on that, and obviously we'll pursue it anyway.
Right, I've read 1.10 to you. Are members in favour? Please show. Thank you. Anyone against? Please show. Are there any abstentions? Thank you. I think we'll take on board Councillor Kent's recommendation as well. Shall I say that next week? Yeah. Members, please stand for the formal close of the meeting. Is somebody else going to say that about members and guests? Right, before I go, members and guests present are welcome to join me for refreshments in committee room 1 and 2, which we'll find just across the way. And that concludes the business for the meeting this evening, and I now declare the meeting closed at 8:30. Thank you. Thanks for your forbearance this evening.